Welcome back, everybody. Well, we're working on some spoon wood this morning, but it is really starting to get cold. I think it's about 37 Fahrenheit right now, but it's on the way down to about 18, and it's making the wood kind of brittle to work. But you can see the kind of wood that I like to use. I know a lot of folks like to use green wood, but I prefer to use something that's come right out of the old firewood pile and whatnot. And my preferred method is either using the froe and the beetle or the old hatchet, but trying to get enough wood out of some of these old pieces can be kind of challenging at times. But let me show you in here what I mean. Quite oftentimes you'll end up with a spoon. You draw it out to the size you really want it, but a lot of times you've got so much rot and stuff and holes and spalting that if you don't start out drawing it big, you're going to end up with something real shallow, which is exactly what happened here. That was actually something that would be about that size, but there were so many holes. It's always a challenge, and I enjoy doing it and stuff like that. So we'll see what we get out of this. Choke up on your hatch and get a little more controlled strikes, but you can see the further along you get in the wood, some places you'll find these holes, which will make it really short on this end and not so much on that end. It's just something you just gotta play with a bit. Don't want to swing wild and hard because the wood is quite old. Yeah, it's probably been laying in the fire pit or the firewood pile for, I don't know, months, sometimes up to a year, I guess, or more, so it'll season up. And I like to try to do as much of this kind of work because it'll save a lot of carving and all that kind of stuff on those knives, and even cutting with the wood saws, and everything is done by hand, so except for with the chainsaw. But I don't mind telling you, one day I wouldn't mind having a scroll saw or a bandsaw or something like that. Make some of this old grunt work a little bit easier to cope with. And you can see the shape that we're trying to go for, but this little problem right here may make me change the shape of the bowl. But the rest of it looks pretty good. It's got some dampness to it, and oftentimes I'll have to wait a day or few for it to dry out, and sometimes even longer, a month or more, to do the staining with the linseed oil, olive oil, and or whatever you want to do. Like I said, it's supposed to get real cold here in a bit. Hi, Birdie. Alright, we've done a good bit of the hatchet work, and you can see some of the things that'll slowly come out for you and will determine exactly how big your bowl can be, or whether, quite literally, you just need to chuck this thing back into the firewood pile. But oftentimes I've seen where things that you would, or I would pick and say, no, it's not worth going on any time on this particular piece, ends up being a pretty nice looking little thing. And It's usually about this time I decide whether the spoon is going to be straight or it's got a crank to it. Anyway, we'll work on this a little bit more and see what we can figure out here. Alright, you can see the spot here, and another one right here. And that can be fixed with the old glue and sawdust trick, or even shoving a twig in there and then packing of sawdust and glue. It can be repaired, but we got the basic shape here. And now we'll go in and try to do a little cutting with our coping saw. Okay, I've got a rough shape here, and I am looking at these spots here, and I'm not sure whether the coping saw will be the right choice. We might just have to do use our carving knives and see what we can't get from that. Yeah, it's raining again. Raining at 37 degrees Fahrenheit, so we're not too far away from this turning into snow or ice or something. And like I said, it's supposed to get down to, you know, about like 18 Fahrenheit here in about 5 or 6 hours, and that's probably too cold to snow. Everything would just become a block of ice. It feels like the wood has got, it's pretty solid once you get past these holes, and you got a little something right here that might need to be looked at. This thing right here look like maybe where a twig or something came in, but this one will have a bit of a crank to it. But depending upon how deep these holes go is what kind of a shape you're going to get with your bowl. It might be narrow, because you can already see you're going to have to get narrow here. And might have to take a little bit off here to make it a little bit more asymmetrical, whatever. Yeah, this wood is really damp on the inside, so you just want to make real shallow hits with your hatchet here. And I think this guy's going to end up probably having to sit over in the drying rack for a few days, which happens quite a bit, you know, when you're doing this kind of wood. And then the environment that, you know, I live here in Southeast Virginia, it's very damp. Things rust easy, they rot easy, so, and you don't want to face it, I mean, or force it, I should say. But it's got some really neat colors, but it's damp, real damp, and too hard of a swing, this whole thing will just break on you. So you just make a few more hits, and might have to just make this a standalone video. That way you can see exactly you know, what I do and how I do it, and then when this thing dries up a bit, we'll continue upon it. But it's got some really nice colorings. It's going to be a pretty spoon, and this one's going to have a little bit of a break to it, you know. I got this one hole right here, like I said, that can be fixed. We did those kinds of things all the time. And that hole looks like it may travel all the way here to the head, but definitely can be worked around. You can see where the twigs, small twigs, or even where a beetle or something came through. Yeah, you're gonna have a nice shape, and it sounds solid. Pack that hole once this dries up some. Got a nice shape, nice color. All right, I'll bring you back as this thing dries, and like I said, I think probably make this a standalone video, because this thing might have to dry. I mean, it could take a week, two, maybe less. Let's clean this beetle hole out a little bit. That way when we let it dry, it'll really get in there good. That beetle and bacteria that made itself a happy home in there for a good while. But it's solid in there, so anyway, I'll show you up close. Let's get our light over that way. That's what we're working on. We got a few holes that kind of go around, and I believe it's all connected into one thing. Beetle probably done made himself a nice happy home in there for a long period of time. But let me finish doing a little bit of this, and we're gonna put this one over on the dry rack, I believe. Okay, it has been about 2 days since we started working on this spoon. It has dried up significantly. It's a little bit of dampness here in the throat of the spoon, but it's dried up a great much, and I think we might I'm gonna set a little fan up here and blow across it and see if I can't get a little bit more drying, so we can get this project on one video. Yep, just a little bit more drying time is going to be needed right along in here. You can feel a little bit of dampness. So we'll let this fan run over here, blow it, and then we'll come back and start doing some more shaping and stuff. But it's going to be a pretty color. I really think so. It's going to be a little bit more narrower in the bowl section than I had wanted, but you encounter these rot spots that you got to pack and everything. That's just all part of the process. I enjoy doing it, so I don't really mind. And what I do is I'll sometimes get a twig, go right out in the yard, get a twig, and shape it where it'll fit in the hole and jam it in there, and then pack it with sawdust. When I finish a project, I put the sawdust in this bag, and I use it to fill holes and stuff like that, and pack it around the twig that would go in a hole like that. Yeah, it's raining again. I don't know whether you can hear it or not, but it got cold the last 2 nights. It was about 18 Fahrenheit, then 22 Fahrenheit, and I know a lot of people are a lot colder than that, but I tell you what, when you look right up against the Atlantic Ocean here in Virginia, for it to be 18 Fahrenheit, 22 Fahrenheit, that's cold. That is real cold. And I know some people got a couple of videos of the ocean and the bay right at the edge of the shoreline there, freezing up. Anyway, we'll come back in a bit. All right, we've been working on this here bowl. This, for as damp as it is, this has been a tough go, but we'll get there. I won't spend a ton of your time here watching me do the grunt work here, but old hook knife. All right, we continue to hog away at the bowl section with our hook knife, and we got the back side here carved down with our Sloyd and detail knife. There's still some moisture in it, so we'll have to take it easy and slow. But once you get your project up to about this point, you see this hole here that I got to address, and we're going to have to let that dry out. But you see how we're doing it. You're at that point now where you can almost start using some sandpaper or something like that. And I know you're going to see videos that some of the people that say, oh, don't use sandpaper, use a rock for the burnishing effect. Man, the way I look at it is just do what you do, enjoy yourself, and achieve that look that you want. Alright, here's your tools of your trade there, so to speak. Sloyd, detail, hook knife, coping saw, got a file over there. And what you got to do now is you just basically got to ask yourself, what kind of final look do you want? Do you want a kind of more of a rough look, like it's homemade, or do you really want a finely detailed, smoothed out surface? It's up to you, really. Me personally, I kind of, it's an old dude making a spoon inside of a little workshop here, so I'm certainly not trying to achieve that look like it was built on a factory floor. There will be some smoothing, and it'll be, neat looking, and we'll apply a linseed / olive oil type of a finish to it. We'll do a combination of sandpaper and burnishing, and we'll patch holes and stuff like that. So yeah, don't fall into that trap that only rookies use sandpaper, or don't use old firewood, just use green wood and stuff like that. Enjoy yourself. Just do your thing. Get out and do your thing, and make a spoon, make a kuksa or anything else. This is the kuksa we made. That's been a while back, but it really hadn't gotten in bad shape, so I had rehabbed it a little bit, and it really looks good. But I don't want to make this video so long, but that's basically what we're trying to achieve. And you just keep working at it until you achieve that look that makes you happy. Do you like the rounded ends or more squared ends or whatnot? Anyway, thank you for watching.